Hello, everybody, and welcome to Señor Spanish course, Lección 10. Today we're going to be talking about asking questions. So we've been doing a lot of vocab in the past. Today we're going to, calm that down a little bit and just look at some grammar. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel already, you can click the link there and subscribe if you're interested. I love having subscribers and people share my video and comments, just so I know that people out there are actually watching it and benefiting from them. But all right, let's get started. Okay, preguntas de sí o no. Yes or no questions. So we'll start there. Pregunta is a question, so preguntas de sí o no. They're formed similarly to English, but there's more flexibility in the word order. So there's not a huge change here going from English to Spanish. We just can translate it. The most common way to ask us a question is to just say the same way you would say it if it were a phrase, a statement, but ask it with a question tone. So here's an example. Usted trabaja los sábados. It's a statement. Usted trabaja los sábados. You work Saturdays. And now to make it a question, we can just say, Usted trabaja los sábados? You work Saturdays? So we do that in English too. We can just, you work Saturdays? You work Saturdays? But it's not quite as common in English. I think if we do that, it's kind of like we just learned something. Like if your friend says, "Oh, I have to work tomorrow," and you say, "Oh, you work Saturdays?" Like you're learning something. It's not just a normal "Do you work Saturdays?" If we wanted to ask somebody, we would just say, "Do you work Saturdays?" So that's different in Spanish. It's really common to just make it a question. Also, the verb and the subject can be switched. Trabaja usted los sábados? So trabaja is you work, and then usted is you. So we switched the subject and the verb. We do that in English mostly. So we'll say, you do work Saturdays. Do you work Saturdays? We switch it. That's the most common way to ask a question in English. In Spanish, you can do it that way too. Now keep in mind that oftentimes we don't have the subject in a sentence in Spanish, so it's irrelevant. All right, also, this is really common in Spanish too. You can just say the sentence and tag a question word at the end. So, usted trabaja los sábados, no? You work Saturdays, right? Don't you? So, again, we do that in English sometimes, You work Saturdays, right? It's really common in Spanish to do that. So, just say the sentence and then add a tag, a question tag. So, other question tags can be verdad, which means right, true, or sí. So, usted trabaja los sábados, verdad? You work Saturdays, right? So that's another way. And then the last thing here, this is a little more informal, but you can just start the sentence with SK. So is it that? SK. ¿Es que usted trabaja los sábados? Is it that you work Saturdays? That's pretty common too, especially informally. So those are the ways. It's pretty similar. It's pretty simple, and don't work too hard memorizing all of this. It kind of becomes pretty natural, and a lot of it becomes irrelevant as we go further. We'll start leaving subjects off of the sentence, and so the word order is kind of less relevant at that time. But it's good to know. These are the ways to make a question in Spanish, a yes or no question. Okay, let's do some práctica. So here's a photo. I'm just going to ask you some questions about it, and then you can answer it. This will be a good way to just kind of see how questions are made and also refresh some of the vocab we've been doing recently. La mujer es guapa? So you can answer that to yourself. Here I've got, sí, la mujer es guapa. So that question's an example of one that's just the same word order as a phrase, but with a question tone. La mujer es guapa is a statement. La mujer es guapa, that's a question. So that's the first example. Here we go. ¿Es la mujer pobre? ¿Es la mujer pobre? So you can answer that to yourself. No, ella no es pobre. Es rica. So hopefully you remember pobre is poor, so she doesn't look poor. She looks rich. So this is an example of when we've switched the subject and the verb. So Es is the verb, la mujer is the subject. So, ¿es la mujer pobre? La mujer lleva verde, ¿verdad? La mujer lleva verde, ¿verdad? No, no lleva verde. Lleva rojo. So, llevar, that was one of our AR verbs we've learned, means to wear, to carry, or in this case, to wear. So, the lady wears green, right? La mujer lleva verde, ¿verdad? No, no lleva verde. Lleva rojo. She's not wearing green. She's wearing red. Ella es morena, ¿no? Ella es morena, ¿no? No, no es morena. Tiene el cabello negro, pero su piel es blanca. So there's a little bit of vocab we've never seen before, but so I'm asking, ella es morena, ¿no? She's morena, right? She's dark. And then no, she's not morena. She's not dark. She has black hair, and then the word piel there, that means skin. So her skin is white. So she's too light-skinned to be considered morena. Okay, we've got another picture here, so I'll just do the same thing. We'll ask you some more questions, and you can answer them. So, ¿es el niño negro? ¿Es el niño negro? So is he black? No, es blanco. He's white. ¿El niño trabaja? ¿El niño trabaja? So this is one where it's just this statement, but I've asked it with a question tone. The child works. El niño trabaja. Is the child working? Does the child work? El niño trabaja? No, no trabaja. Dibuja. So hopefully you remember some of our vocab here. No, he's not working. He's drawing. Dibujar is to draw. ¿Es que el niño dibuja personas? ¿Es que el niño dibuja personas? So that's our SK. It's a question here. So is it that the child is drawing people? If you look at his photos, you can see he's not. It's no. Él dibuja animales. Él dibuja animales. He's drawing animals. Looks like there's a horse there. El niño es grande, ¿verdad? El niño es grande, ¿verdad? No, es pequeño. He's little. He's a little kid. All right, let's look at some other kinds of questions, a little more complex. So, pedir información, request information, to ask for information. So these are who, what, when, where, why, how, those sort of questions. So we've got some vocab here to know the question words. We've looked at some already. We'll go over all of them though. So who, quién, or quiénes if you're talking about more than one person. What is qué? Probably you know that one already. When, cuándo, cuándo. Where's dónde? Or if you're talking about to where, you'd say a dónde. Like a dónde vas? Where are you going? To where do you go? A dónde? So if you say where is something, ¿dónde está la biblioteca? Where is the library? Or where are you going to? To where are you going? ¿A dónde vas? Why is por qué? ¿Por qué? How is cómo? Like how are you? ¿Cómo estás? Which is cuál or cuáles if it's plural. So just a note about cuál. It's a little different than in English. So cuál is a pronoun in Spanish. It's not an adjective. So ¿qué libro te gusta más? What book do you like more? ¿Cuál te gusta más? Which do you like more? So you could never say ¿cuál libro? Which book? No, in English, if you're talking about that which book, which color, you use que. What book? What color? What book do you like more? You would never say cuál and then the noun. That's not how cuál works. It's a pronoun, so it takes the place of a noun. ¿Cuál te gusta más? Which do you like more? And the last one here, how much or how many. Cuánto, cuánto, and then make sure you make it agree with whatever you're taking the place of. So cuánto, how much. Cuántos, how many. If you're talking about masculine, then cuánta is how much, and cuántas, how many if it's feminine. So just make sure that, cuánto tiempo, how much time. Cuántas horas, how many hours. So make sure that they agree. It's just like an adjective, you change it, the o, os, a, or as. So there's our question words. Notice they all have an accent mark. We talked about that in a previous lesson when we were talking about accent marks, that accent marks are used to distinguish something as a question word. So they all have accent marks. Okay, escucha, listen. So I'm just going to go through a question and answer. Here's an example of a dialogue. So you can imagine there's two people talking, and one's asking questions, the other one's answering it. I've included the subject in every single question just so you can see where it goes, but in real speak, they wouldn't be repeating the subject every single time. But anyway, here's an example. Hola, Miguel. ¿A dónde va Michelle? So, hi, Miguel. Where's Michelle going? To where does Michelle go? Michelle va a la biblioteca. ¿Por qué va Michelle a la biblioteca? Hopefully you remember that. So that's why. Why does Michelle go to the library? Ella necesita estudiar. She needs to study. ¿Qué estudia Michelle? ¿Qué estudia Michelle? Estudia matemáticas. She studies mathematics. ¿Con quién estudia? ¿Con quién estudia? So remember, we learned the word con last lesson. It means with. So with whom does she study? If we were going to put Michelle in there, we'd say, ¿Con quién estudia Michelle? So just like in English, how we're not really supposed to end our sentences with a preposition, but we do it anyway? In English, we'd probably say, who is she studying with? Well, in Spanish, we know that's wrong, though. We know the correct way to say is, with whom does she study? But nobody speaks like that in English. In Spanish, you can't in a sentence in a preposition, and nobody does. So it would be very strange to say, ¿Quién estudia con? Or something like that. You would never say that. If it's a preposition there, if it's with whom does she study? ¿Con quién estudia? So we know the phrasing in English because we know the proper way to speak. And so just use that in Spanish, because in Spanish, it's the only way to speak. ¿Con quién estudia? With whom does she study? Estudia con su amiga Jessica. ¿Cuándo terminan ellas de estudiar? So that one's a little weird. So it's, when do they finish? Ellas terminan de estudiar. You could also say, ¿Cuándo terminan de estudiar ellas? When do they finish? So you could put ellas right after the first verb or right after the entire verb phrase. Terminan a las 2:30. They finish at 2:30. So there's your question phrasing using these question words. Notice they almost always are followed immediately by a verb. So it's question word, verb, sentence, or subject. That's kind of the general structure. So if you look at, for example, the third one, ¿Qué estudia Michelle? What studies Michelle? So it's question word, verb, the subject is Michelle. ¿Con quién estudia? With whom? Question. Estudia, verb. And then if we were going to have a subject in there, we would put Michelle at the end. So that's the general order of these kind of questions. Keep in mind that we would be dropping the subject out a lot. So we wouldn't keep saying Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. We would just drop it out, like in the fourth one. ¿Con quién estudia? With whom does she study? We don't need a subject there, but I put it in there just so you would see where they go. All right, let's do some more practica here. So I'm going to show you an answer to a question, and you have to make the question. So it should be pretty obvious what the question should be. It's more about just making sure that you get the word order correct. So let's start here. Now, these questions don't have anything to do with each other, so don't think that I'm referring to a previous one. They're all separate. But wait, mi padre trabaja en Los Angeles. Mi padre trabaja en Los Angeles. So my father works in Los Angeles. And then what would be the question? Well, it's probably where does your father work? So how would you say that in Spanish? Pause it if you need some time and write it down or say it out loud. ¿Dónde trabaja tu padre? Where works your father? ¿Dónde trabaja tu padre? Question, verb, subject. Let's do the next one. Tengo 15 años. Tengo 15 años. So what's the question there? We've learned this at the very beginning. ¿Cuántos años tienes? How many years do you have? If we were going to put a subject there, we'd say, ¿Cuántos años tienes tú? ¿Cuántos años? That's our question. Tienes, our verb. Subject tú, it's implied. We don't need to put it there, but if we did want to put it there, we'd put it at the end. All right, next one. Mi mejor amigo es Daniel. So you may not know that word mejor. It means best or better. So in this case, it says, my best friend is Daniel. So what question do we probably have? So it's probably, who is your best friend? You know how you would say that? Pause the video if you need to and come up with an answer there. Hopefully you have it. It's, ¿quién es tu mejor amigo? Who, question, es, verb, tu mejor amigo. That's the subject. Who is your best friend? And then we got, mi color favorito es verde. You probably know, even if you haven't seen those words before, what it means. My favorite color is green. So what would be the question? Well, probably what's your favorite color, right? Do you have the answer there? ¿Cuál es tu color favorito? Which is your favorite color? You could also say ¿qué? ¿Qué es tu color favorito? What is your favorite color? I think cuál is a little better there. We're going to talk more about cuál. It's a little bit unique in Spanish. But basically, if you have a list that you can choose from, you're saying which. So there's only so many colors you can choose from. So you'd say, which is your favorite color? And the last one here. Emily trabaja porque necesita dinero. So there's a couple of words there you may not have seen. Dinero. A lot of people in America know that word. It means money in Spanish. And then we've got the word porque, which means because. So if you remember how we said why, it was por qué, two words, por qué, and K had an accent mark on it. To say because, it's por qué. ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Por qué? Because. So it's really similar. So what's the question? If I'm saying Emily works because she needs money, what's our question probably? Why does she work? So how do you say that? ¿Por qué trabaja Emily? ¿Por qué trabaja Emily? Why works Emily? Why does Emily work? Why? ¿Por qué? Then we got the verb trabaja, and then the subject is Emily. So that's the general way of saying questions like this. Question word, verb, subject. All right. Some more practica here. So this is one that's pretty just free. You know, I want you to just make up some questions. Make up at least 3 yes or no questions about this that you may have about this photo here, and then 3 questions that use a question word. So pause the video, take some time, come up with at least 3, more or better, of course. There's no limit to how many you could do here. There's a tons of questions you probably have about what's going on in this. So try to use the vocab we have used already. Feel free to use a dictionary if you need to, and come up with some questions, and then push play whenever you've got it. Alright, so here's some examples. There's tons you could do. I just have some examples here. ¿Quién es el hombre? Who is the man? I think most people would wonder that. Who is that guy? So, again, question word, verb, subject. Who is the man? Él escucha a las mujeres, ¿verdad? Él escucha a las mujeres, ¿verdad? So here's a yes or no question. He's listening to the women, right? ¿De qué hablan las mujeres? ¿De qué hablan las mujeres? So, what are the women talking about? Again, this is one of those times where in English, we'd end the question with a preposition. What are the women talking about? But in Spanish, you never do that. And we know in English the proper way of saying that would say, about what do the women speak? Of course, no one talks that way, but in Spanish you do. So, of, de is of or about. So, de qué, of what speak the women? What do the women speak of? ¿Es que el hombre es simpático? ¿Es que el hombre es simpático? So, is it that the man is nice? Is the man nice? I mean, I was wondering that because he looks kind of shady there, so hopefully he's not, hopefully he's a good person, but we don't really know. ¿Dónde están las mujeres? ¿Dónde están las mujeres? So where are the women? So where are they? You can't really tell. I think it looks kind of European. There's some flags in the back that may be England or something, but anyway, so I was kind of wondering that. Where are they? ¿Dónde están las mujeres? And the last example here. ¿Por qué escucha el hombre a las mujeres? So why does the man listen to the women? Why is he listening to them? So I was wondering that. This one is a little more complex of a sentence here, so that's why I've included it. So we have por qué escucha. So we have why, our question word, escucha, verb, el hombre, subject, and then a las mujeres. So that's a phrase of saying like, why does he listen to them? But that would be a normal word order. ¿Por qué escucha el hombre a las mujeres? So why listens the man to the women? It's pretty different in Spanish, and it's also pretty flexible. Because you could also say, ¿por qué escucha a las mujeres el hombre? Or even you could just say, ¿por qué escucha a las mujeres? Because we don't necessarily need a subject there. So why does he listen to the women? But basically, we're going to get that down because we'll be asking so many questions that we'll just learn it. It's not anything that you have to worry about studying too much. Be familiar with it and know the basic word order, and it'll kind of just get hammered into your head as we move along. But you should definitely know it. Know the different ways of asking questions, and you should definitely know all of the question words by heart. So there's not that many, maybe 8 or 9 or so. So you really, really want to know them if you don't know them already. Okay, hasta pronto. So, here's a link here if you want to subscribe to my channel. I love getting subscribers, so please do that if you're interested. And I'll be putting up another video. I'm going to try to get it up today or tomorrow. So, thanks for listening. Hasta luego.